30 years in the future.
We are fighting a war. Our enemy is not human, and we are losing.
We need you to fight.
I will be back. And I love you, Chickpea.
Hola, Chris, ¿cómo estás? How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm very, very excited to talk to you. I mean, the movie is so exciting and so scary and so everything. I really, really liked it. I had an amazing time. And I wanted to talk to you to see how was your experience making the movie?
Oh, yeah, it was a blast. I mean, I had a really great cast. Chris, Jovanny, Betty, Sam, Edwin, JK, Jasmine, Keith, just stacked. Mike Mitchell, Mary Lynn, just had a really great cast and a really great crew. Larry, Peter, Betsy, Jamie Price, the editing team. We had a really, I was very fortunate. I was very lucky to have so many people who were so deeply invested in the movie. And yeah, it was to be able to play with all the toys, Skydance, and Paramount, be able to play with all the toys that they provided for this movie. That was a thrill. Absolutely.
All this cast, all this team, all this production behind you. And you have this background on animation, like Robot Chicken and Moral Laurel and the Lego movies. They must love you because they gave you all the toys.
Yeah, maybe I fooled them. I don't know. I think that the pitch that I had, this is a movie that's kind of in my wheelhouse as far as it's a combination of all the kind of different kinds of movies that I loved when I was growing up, when I was sort of studying to be a filmmaker, and the kind of it's got a great combination of a human story as well as the big kind of sci-fi epic stuff and time travel and action and aliens and all that kind of thing. So I think that, because I had pitched it sort of a little bit like it's, kind of time travel, It's a Wonderful Life, sci-fi, It's a Wonderful Life. They really thought that we kind of had something there with the theme. So I got very lucky because there's a lot of obviously really great filmmakers they could have approached, and they picked me, so I'm lucky.
Well, that's awesome, and you did an amazing job, so well deserved.
Thank you.
7 days from now, when you're sent into that war, you won't be fighting for your country. You'll be fighting for the world.
Is it all right?
Yeah.
Going to war.
Stop talking. Listen.
Sorry, when I'm nervous, I talk. I'm like a 97 on the nervous scale.
Talking a little bit about your background. We know you from Robot Chicken, from the Lego movie, from the Lego Batman movie. So what made you decide to do the jump to live action? And how different is to do an animation movie from a movie like this one that has so much special effects?
Yeah. I mean, look, there's a lot of differences. I guess I could start with the similarities because when you are doing something like this, that is a lot of world building, a lot of stuff that is based, computer based, whether it's set extensions or the creatures, or full on, the deep swell is an almost entirely from the wide, we're doing the wide shots, entirely CG created. It's a lot of those shots to establish it are all completely in the computer. The process that you go through as a filmmaker is very similar to building reels in animation. So there's a lot of, whether it's animatics with story, which is, storyboards and dialogue and music mixed together, or it's previs, which is very similar to layout, where you're kind of, you've got, some basic blocking, some basic camera movement in three-dimensional space. You're doing a lot of that pre-work in order to get on set or to go to the next level in animation. You're doing a lot of that pre-work just to sort of establish what you're doing, to communicate with your team, to get everyone on the same page, to get the producers behind it, so you can analyze the budgets and all that other kind of thing. All of that stuff is the same. So, and also too, when you're on set with an actor and you're dealing with, there's going to be explosions over here, and then that's burnt out Miami behind you, and there's creatures coming down the street. You're using a lot of the same imaginative resources that you're doing with an actor when you're in the voiceover booth. when you're trying to paint a picture for what's going on when they're acting. You know, it's okay. So with Lego Batman, it's like the Joker's over there and Robin's over there and there's a fireball coming and, you know, all this stuff. So it's the same kind of thing that you're doing. It's just kind of done in a different, just kind of on a different scale and in a different way. It's a little more cops and robbers when you're on set, you know, where you're kind of like, okay, you're running with the camera, run over there, no, shoot over there, no, do that. You know, you're kind of, it's like, in some ways it's super playful, which is what, you know, hopefully some of the, you know, when you're engaging people as a director, hopefully you're gauging them when you thought, whether it's crew or whether it's actors, but especially the actors, you're engaging them from a real imaginative place. You're tapping into something deep down inside them that is primal and, you know, again, childlike in some way, because you are trying to create a reality that's not there. So you do have to kind of bring that out of everybody. But I think that's also kind of why everyone comes to work, you know, in a thing like this, is they want to be able to be engaged that way. So it's a lot of fun. The process can be a lot of fun for me.
That should be fun.
How was it for you to use real humans instead of directing animators to direct Pratt and Yvonne and JK?
Yeah. Well, it's great. I mean, look, you know, in animation, you control everything, and in live action, you control almost nothing. Some ways, because you know, you can't count on the weather. You can't, you know, there's literally a million things. And so, and I like to collaborate. I like give and take. I like working with human beings. You know what I mean? I mean, whether it's animators in an animated movie or whether it's the actors and the crew in a live action movie, to be able to, I mean, that's kind of why you do this. You're doing this because you want to work with other human beings and collaborate on something and create something that's better than what any one of you would have brought to the table. You know, it is this thing where it is this collective team trying to work towards a goal. Hopefully you're all moving in the same direction. And again, I like feeding off the energy of other people. It's why, you know, some of the, you know, improv works and that kind of thing. It is being able to feed off all of the great ideas that everyone brings to the table to create something that's better than what any one person.
Welcome to the future. You and your unit are now in 2051.
They're everywhere.
We are food, and they are hungry. Our enemy is smarter, faster, and stronger than you can possibly imagine.
And your past projects have been really, really, really funny. So what made you want to do something that is so thrilling and even like scary?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up on horror movies. I grew up on action movies. I grew up on sci-fi stuff. Those, you know, Aliens and Terminator and The Hidden and John Carpenter's The Thing and all of that stuff. Like, you know, it's just all of that, you know, kind of Independence Day. Those are all movies that made me want to make movies. Those are all movies that were just the kind of the foundation of why I want to be a filmmaker. So, there's always that being able to kind of like create in a world like that was something I always wanted to try, and I'm really glad that I got a chance to do that, because it's a lot of fun. And the script didn't have a lot of humor in it, and one of my jobs was to add humor to the movie to maybe try to find ways for the movie not to take itself so seriously all the time, because the movie was taking itself pretty seriously at times. And I knew we needed that gear in the movie. We needed to be able to have highs and lows and peaks and valleys from a tonal perspective, from a pacing perspective. So being able to add comedy to the movie, find comic actors who would come in, Sam Richardson and Mary Lynn and Mike Mitchell, to be able to, you know, provide that, because, you know, Chris was going to have the sort of the burden of being the leading man and all the emotional story and all that kind of thing. Although Chris got some jokes in there. But yeah, to me, that, you know, that's always something I'm going to add to the things that I do. So the comedy's always going to be there somewhere.
Want to see something really dangerous?
I feel like literally that's all I've been doing since I got here, but okay.
How was that experience with Chris? I mean, you were with him in the Lego movie, and now you're like, but you have to be like the hero now, like on this. You're not gonna be so funny on this one.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that came from Chris. Chris wanted to. this was not in Chris, from Chris's point of view, this was an opportunity for him to not have to be the, the funny guy, to have the burden of that on his shoulders all the time. He wanted to do something a little more serious. He wanted to do something that was a little more, to show a different side of what he could do, something more vulnerable and emotional. So it's an evolution in his career as he evolves, as he's obviously become a massive movie star and leading man, and it's just part of the palette of things that he can do.
Light him up!
I love the movie. I think that you did an amazing job, and this is only your first live action movie, so I cannot wait for what comes next. I know that you may be working in Nightwing, so that's exciting.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. Hopefully that's next. What's next? Yeah.
And thank you so much for sharing the movie with us.
Thank you. It's great talking to you.
Sure. Thank you. Bye-bye. Gracias.